Well, hi, hello, how are you? Today we are going to talk about the 6 reasons that your hair is dry, brittle, your scalp is flaky, and you are completely unable to retain length, luster, or shine within the human hair shaft. So let's talk about it because it's annoying and I know you're tired of it. So let's talk. During your quest to avoid blow dryers, flat irons, curling irons, something as simple as a heated dryer, you do all of these other forms of manipulation to stretch your hair so you can see your real curls, and all of the different tools and things that you do on the hair when it is in its weakest state, which is when it is wet. So by constantly tugging and pulling on the hair, you end up causing way more harm than good, because when you're in the hair when it is weakest, which is when it is wet, you mess with the integrity of the hair shaft, and as a result you end up weakening the hair shaft and causing mechanical damage over time. These are different things like just regular split ends, or you can cause massive amounts of different hair shaft disorders through simply overly manipulating the hair. Make sure you check these 2 videos here where I go a little bit deeper into different hair shaft disorders, because when you really start researching these hair shaft disorders and their triggers and causes, you can then link it up to the different patterns and the routines that you have on an everyday basis that leads to these things. When you are detangling the hair aggressively when it is wet, it is one of the leading causes of damage, and I know a lot of people are not going to want to hear this. When you are combing through the hair and you have a bunch of tangles, and then you see, oh, I'm combing through my hair. Baby, you're not combing through your hair, you're combing the hair that was tangled. It's now in the comb. So before the hair was in the comb and you were just combing through, right? If you were just combing through the hair, there's no hair on the comb, you're just combing, but you are detangling on wet hair with conditioner in it. So when you comb like this and there's a tangle, you pulling through, and then it goes through. You think that the conditioner detangled your hair. The conditioner did not detangle your hair. The conditioner pulled your hair out. That's why you have all of the hair in the comb. That is not normal. Yes, we say you're supposed to lose 55 to 100 strands a day. Baby, this is not 55 to 100 strands. This is a lot. This is not normal. You should never detangle this much hair out. The only time in a hair salon that I have ever had this much hair come out of somebody's head is when I'm taking out a weave that's been in their hair for 3 months. So the only excuse you have, if this is the first time you've shampooed your hair in 3 months, then okay. Like if you haven't combed it, it's just been sitting on your hair for 3 months, okay, but then you should never detangle like that. Hydro fatigue is something that ends up happening to the hair shaft when the hair is constantly wet, when the follicle is forced to swell and unswell over and over again. By constantly wetting the hair, you end up causing extreme and sometimes permanent damage to the hair follicle, depending on how long you let it go on, because a lot of times most of the things and hair shaft disorders that look permanent started off with something very minor, something that seemed very minor, like hydro fatigue, wetting your hair all the time. Most people who experience breakage and balding, before the balding, they first notice a change of elasticity, right? And that is something that happens with hydro fatigue. When you are constantly wetting the hair, what ends up happening, you start messing up the elasticity of your hair, and the hair cuticle becomes weaker and your hair becomes more stretchy and more prone to breakage. So if you're a person who is always wetting the hair, or if you're always leaving the hair wet, or if you let your hair dry a lot, or if you sleep in conditioner, or if you sleep in wet stuff, if you wet for longer than 5 minutes, for longer than how long it take you to blow dry or under the dryer, if your hair wet, you could be wet longer than 5 minutes. Okay. Number 3, traction alopecia. A lot of people are not going to want to hear that. You're not going to hear that. Now, most people think that traction alopecia only comes from weaves and extensions. Baby, no. Traction alopecia can also come from styling, pulling, and tugging on the hair when the hair is wet. When the hair is wet, the follicle is swollen. When the hair is wet, everything's swollen, everything is at its weakest state. And most of the time, most people are styling their hair like all of these cute little ponytails, little updo, little twisty curls that y'all be doing. Most of y'all do it on wet hair, and the more you do that over time, it leads to traction alopecia. I say it all the time, hair weathering takes anywhere between 6 months to 25 years to show up. As you can see, over time, the things that you do now will have an effect. Everything works until it doesn't. I'm not just telling y'all not to do stuff just because I'm trying to cause controversy. Everything works until it doesn't. And what I do here on my channel, I try to give you guys preventative measures, because I understand that once the follicle dies for real, that's it. Once your hair is broken, that's it. You have to cut it off. Things cannot be reversed the way that they've made you believe that they can be reversed. They make you believe that hair products are the end all be all because that's how they get your money. But hair products cannot fix a hair shaft disorder or a dead hair follicle. It is something that can only take place through you changing all of your practices holistically. Okay, remember, most people, even though they're team natural, when you get tired of doing your wash and goes, the first thing you do is put on a wig. And wigs and the lace and things of that nature, they end up causing massive traction alopecia. One thing that people never wanted to hear from me, wigs and weaves, like wigs, lace fronts are not supposed to be on the hair longer than about 3 days. I don't care what anybody says, but when Love and Hip Hop came out and you guys were able to see or feel like you could directly relate with celebrities, everybody wants to do what celebrities do. So you think that you can wear lace fronts too like them, and then you leaving lace fronts in for months and wearing it forever. Most people wear lace fronts so much to the point that when they take it out, you can see the difference in color. You can see the difference in color between where their hair is, where their scalp is, and where the lace front used to lay. That's a problem, because over time what you end up doing is cutting off the airflow, and you end up cutting off the airflow, and your hair is already weak because all you do is walk around with wet hair. I have a crap load of women, a lot of people are not gonna admit it now, but one of the main things people used to do, people would literally get shampoo their hair and put a bunch of conditioner in it and leave all of the conditioner in their hair and put their hair in 2 French braids with a bunch of conditioner in it, and then put a wig on top. Some would even still have their hair in a plastic processing cap all day, every day, under a wig, right? And I know a lot of people are not going to admit it, but it's the truth. That's what you guys have done for years. And today in 2024, now you guys are seeing hair weathering in real life, because even though you stopped doing it and you haven't been doing it for maybe a year, or you haven't been doing it for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, the effects are still there. All you have to do is use rice water one time for that colonizing bacteria to begin to end up causing your colonizing bacteria to get even stronger. So it only takes one time, and once you put a live living organism in there, it's not dying. Especially the people who use rice water are the same people who use co-wash and conditioner, and a co-wash and conditioner is not powerful enough to kill all of these different forms of bacteria. Make sure you check this video right here, and I go deep explaining 21 or 25 out of the over 1,000 different forms of yeast and bacteria that live on your scalp right now, right about now. Number 4 is fungal infections. Now, I work with a lot of dermatologists, and some of them have been hitting me up like, saying, what in the hell is going on? Because the amount of black women who have fungal infections of the scalp, and I'll list a couple of different fungal infections here on the scalp, is out of this world, and that comes from one thing and one thing only, my baby, because most of y'all are leaving y'all hair wet. And even if you're saying I air dry, no you didn't, no you did not, no you didn't, that was not enough. The bacteria and yeast that live on the scalps, on the human scalp naturally, right, it has 2 things that it needs to thrive, right? It needs oil, and it needs a wet a humid environment. So what are the two things that most people with natural hair do, or people that are in the natural hair community do? What are your favorite two things? Water and oil. Hell, sometimes y'all put water in the oil in the water and then mix it up together and spray it in there. And those are the two things. Like, if God was to come, if all of the bacteria that live on your head can write a note to the Lord and be like, hey, if God be like, I bring you whatever you want, what you want, they're gonna be like, oh my God, bring me some oil, bring me some of that coconut oil and some water. Oh my God, yes. That's why so many people have all of these bacteria infections, because everybody's been listening to people who've been listening to other people who don't know what they're talking about. Because the thing is, everybody wants to make it seem like everything has always been about black women. No, it's been about money. Once COVID hit, and even before COVID hit, everybody was trying to figure out what they were going to do, how they was gonna make pieces hit again. And time again and time again, time after time after time after time, the easiest bag to get is to create a hair product and sell it to black women, because you don't understand your sovereignty, and because you don't understand the way that the human body works, and because you're always looking for a shortcut, it makes it so you're a really, really easy target for somebody to market things to, right? So by leaving the hair wet and by constantly putting all of these water-based products in the scalp, that is why black women or women with naturally curly hair are leading in scalp and follicle infections across the board in the US, period. And that is a fact. Maceration is a lot like hydrofatigue, okay? And maceration is a thing, again, where when the hair is wet all the time, it causes the hair to swell and become weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. So you just have a super swollen hair shaft. And when I say it's swollen, not only is like with hydrofatigue, right? With hydrofatigue, not only is the hair shaft swollen, but the follicle is swollen. So this form of hair shaft maceration is the beginning stages of hydrofatigue, right? It is the stage where the hair shaft is just really, really swollen and is beginning to get more and more fragile. Some signs of this will be really, really frizzy and really dry hair. If you are saying, oh my God, my hair is so dry, there's so many women who are constantly saying, Sam, my hair is dry, my hair is dry. There's no product that you could put on it to fix it, my love. You have a hair shaft disorder due to the practices that you had before. You have to change everything that you've been doing in the past, right? And reformat it. You can either join my 7-day challenge and I'll walk you through it, or you can buy one of my mini ebooks, or you can check all of the videos listed in the playlist below, get a pen and paper out, and have like a month being watching my videos, because all of it is here. It's all here. I swear it is. Number 6 is going to be an increase in porosity. This is one of my favorite ones, because when I do one-on-one consultations, the majority of women that are leaving the Team Natural community and coming over to the Healthy Hair crew are really, everybody's under the impression that they have high porosity hair. There's a video that people told me about, and I saw the thumbnail too, but I refuse to watch because my brain will not let me absorb stupidity. But there have been many videos where people have been saying, oh, all black women have high porosity hair, all black women have high porosity hair. And it was so ignorant, because the study that they used was a study that was done through crime scene investigations, right? And so from the data from crime scene investigations, they were finding that all of the people, all of the bodies, right, all of the dead people, all of the people who had gone up to yonder or down, I don't know, all of the people that was gone, they all had high porosity hair. But then when you go look deeper into the article, and this is why it's so imperative that y'all have to learn not to just look at something, read it, and take it at face value. No, you have to really look at the whole article. Look at all of the studies. And when you look at the studies from the one that they took saying all black women have high porosity hair, these were all women in certain areas, right? I'm sorry, like, I'm from the D, so if you get offended, get offended. So these were all women from inner cities, right? They were women from inner cities. They were all the women who got their hair products from the beauty supply store on the corner. They were all doing relaxers themselves. None of them had healthy hair practices the same way that the majority of women in the United States in 2024 have negative hair practices. Because right now, if any scientist was to come and start taking the majority of the women that they see on social media's opinion, they're gonna come up with the same thing. Why? Because the majority of black women still have really messed up hair practices. So when they did the studies, back to the study for all black women having high porosity hair, right? When they sat down and did the studies, they found that when you really read it, there were women from like the inner city, like I'm talking, we just like duck, they shooting you eating dinner on the floor. And it was like crime scene investigations. These were robberies and essays and drug deals and all types of stuff. That's where these samples were coming from. They weren't just taking samples from black women that were doctors, then lawyers and cosmetologists. And no, these were crime scene investigation. These were crime scene investigation documents, and people are reading the documentation that scientists made from looking at women from one race and one demographic, right? That obviously, listen, if we all in the projects, most likely none of us are following, like, really. So you can't make that overall conclusion, right? The truth of the matter is the majority of black women have high porosity hair because you can increase your hair's porosity by having poor practices. And one thing that a lot of my clients find when they book one-on-one consultations with me, one of the main reasons that no matter what they did, their hair would be messed up is because everybody's treating their hair like they have high porosity, when in reality, some have low porosity hair. But through all of those practices that you've been doing, right, you've caused damage to the hair shaft, which has caused holes and splits and rips and tears within the hair shaft, just like hair shaft maceration and just like other forms of split ends and different forms of hair shaft disorders that end up lifting a cuticle that isn't supposed to be lifted all the time. I have high porosity hair and my hair is not damaged. High porosity hair does not mean that the hair is damaged. Porosity, the word porosity, right, it is lending to the cuticle's ability to open and close, right? So if you have a low porosity hair, your porosity is lower on the spectrum. It takes a little more oomph for it to open. Medium to normal porosity, it doesn't mean like anything woo woo. It just means that it don't take much. Whatever happened, your hair like, girl, I'm down, I'm ready. And then with high porosity hair, it don't take much. It's already open and ready to go. Is it damaged? No. My cuticle isn't damaged. It's just, hey girl, hey y'all. Y'all want some cookies? Like, it's just really friendly. That doesn't mean that it's damaged, but you end up causing the cuticles to open further and wider than they're supposed to when you follow practices that end up damaging the cuticle. And we talked about a couple of them before. Hair maceration, that's one thing that damages the cuticle. Hair different forms of split ends that are caused by mechanical damage end up leading to hair shaft maceration. There are so many different things, right? And these all lead to the change of the porosity. And by your porosity constantly changing all the time, you can't really determine what the best products are for you to use, what the best shampoos and conditioners are. So you're always like all over the place. But if you keep your routine and your pattern very very simplistic, right? Very simplistic, then you don't have as much to worry about. So if you want to learn more about how to regulate your body's natural systems, then you have two options. The first option is the 7-day hair growth challenge. Now, the 7-day hair growth challenge is amazing because it teaches you everything that you need to know to cure that scalp and follicle infection as fast as you possibly can, right? It'll get it done in 7 days. It'll make that pattern, that inflammation, that balding, and all of that, it'll make all of the inflammation and things of that nature, it will go away. We will reset a new process for you to start all over, right? Resetting the hair growth cycle, resetting the natural skin cell turnover cycle, figuring out what it is. Most people have no idea what their scalp's profile is. This is your scalp's profile. Most people have no idea, but within the 7-day hair growth challenge, I teach you everything that you need to know about your body, right? And then next up is the growth cycle blueprint. Now, the hair growth cycle blueprint, it also includes the 7-day challenge. So the growth cycle blueprint has the 7-day challenge within it, but in addition to that, it has all of the other things that you need to know. I do not teach hairstyling techniques or the science of hairstyling and things of that nature here on my YouTube channel, because let's be honest, people don't really have that creative process to make things up on their own or to create anything on their own. Most people spend the majority of their time looking at different videos to react to judge. So I don't put my intellectual property on the internet for everybody to see. I have a social media, I have my own little part of the internet that I own, and that is on www.sandsmith.guru. When you sign in over there, within the hair growth cycle blueprint, you have everything that you could need to reset your hair growth cycle altogether. So those are your two options, and you could determine what you want to do. So before I go, I'm just going to hop into my computer so you can just see exactly how these two classes would look for you if you signed up right now.
So we talk about the 7-day hair growth challenge all the time, but this is what it looks like inside, right? There are quite a few steps and quite a bit of information for you to understand, right? And for you to collect to reset your hair growth cycle. And this is a challenge where you cure scalp inflammation and start the process on building new habits, new patterns, and routines that will make sure you will not run into those same issues again, right? And once you master the 7-day hair growth challenge and you have reversed your different scalp inflammation, then it's time for the blueprint, right? The growth cycle blueprint is the way that you apply all of the information that you've learned. Hairstyling is not as simple as watching a YouTube video and following steps and getting certain tools. It's really important, and it's even more important that you learn your body, and that is what the blueprint does. The blueprint helps you put everything into perspective. It breaks down different forms of hairstyling and how you can use those forms in the right way, because hairstyling is not all about what products you can use, what the best oil is, what the best butter is, but this gives you a very, very simplistic pattern and routine that bridges the gap between the customer and the professional cosmetologist. It makes all of our jobs easier, so that way you're able to maintain your hair properly in between appointments, or you're able to maintain your hair properly before you find a cosmetologist.
I really hope that broke everything down to you on the courses that I have available. Please, you guys, make sure you take advantage right now, because at the end of next month we are going to have a whole new course, and one of the courses are going to be closed down. I'm not going to be allowing new people in because I think it's just getting a little too full and I need to get a little bit more control. So if you want to get into these groups, if you want to join these courses, if you want to take either one of my courses, make sure you check the links in the description box below, and please know that you do not even have to pay for it up front. You can make 4 payments, 4 minimum payments. So you can start either challenge for as low as like $25. You can't miss it. So I don't want to hear it, because I made sure that I got something for everybody, and I made sure that it's something that everybody can afford. It's extremely affordable. $25, you spend more than that on double cheeseburgers. So just don't get your double cheeseburger. You mess around, pay $25 a month. $25 a month to start either one of my challenges. Like, what are we even doing? Why are we even talking about it?